Technical support is the team that brings the entire payment process to life for merchants. They set up the terminals, prepare the devices, and make sure that merchants have the tools that they need from the moment they open the box. When a merchant runs into trouble, this is the team that steps in, walks them through their issue, and makes sure that their business is ready to go. Today, I'm sitting down with Sebastian, our technical support manager, who oversees the team responsible for device setup, equipment readiness, and merchant troubleshooting.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Perry, and I'm the tech support manager here at ECS Payments.
Welcome, Sebastian.
Thank you, thank you.
Your department plays a direct role in how quickly and smoothly our merchants get up and running. So I'm excited to highlight you and your department and what you guys do every single day here.
Awesome, well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. What do you want to know?
For someone who's not familiar with the tech support realm, can you give a brief overview of what it is that your department does every day?
Sure. In 10 words or less, we pretty much help our customers or our clients with anything technical related as far as troubleshooting goes. We even dabble in some reporting things too. So really, we're just kind of, in case of emergency, break glass for our merchants.
For your role as manager,
yes,
can you explain a little bit about what your daily routine or weekly routine looks like for you specifically?
Yeah, so I'm actually really involved in the department on a daily basis. And what I mean by that is I'm generally hovering, if you would, with my teammates. So anytime they're getting off of a call, I ask for a recap, how'd that go? Or if I feel like a call is starting to get a little more intensive, I kind of hover over them and offer my advice. But yeah, I'm usually out in the trenches with my team. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm kind of in the command post, AKA my desk, and I'm just making sure things are running smoothly.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your journey though, and how
Sure.
you got to your current position.
Yeah.
So you've been here for a few years. Can you tell me a little bit about your specific journey and how the tech department has evolved over the course of your time here?
Yeah, so I started with tech in 2021 as a tech support rep. And at the time we were kind of like a unit with what we now have as warehouse. We were all just one big family. And so there was only one manager at the time and there were no supervisors. And so when joining and the opportunity presented itself for me to kind of move up and show my skills, I jumped on it because, strike while the iron's hot. But yeah, it's great because our original members are now in different departments within the company still. And I've actually been able to grow, blessed with the opportunity, of course, in my department, and I've been able to help bring on more people. And so it's now a divisional department. So I oversee the technical support operations side of it, and then we have warehouse that sees the more deployment side of it. So it's been nice.
I know it used to be tech did everything from programming, deployment, and support phone calls.
Correct.
So how has that, do you think that's helped merchants dividing it up within the company?
I think from a merchant standpoint, really, we still keep the same as it was back in the day, which is you call us, you're gonna get help no matter who you speak to, which is nice too because our philosophy is that we're not ever not being oblivious to someone else's job, right? Like if there's an opportunity for us to collaborate and work together, we're doing that. And yeah, like we cross-train so nobody's got any gaps in their knowledge. So if a warehouse needs to take on support or vice versa, we can get the job done.
So what brought you to this industry?
I wanna say I just have a knack for problem solving. It's a gratifying feeling being like, I've got this issue or something's going on and being able to have a role or play a part in solving it. It's a good feeling. So I used to be a salesman.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, sales was my baby for probably about 4 years and landed in technical operations. And it's been great. I think it's challenged me. It's given me an opportunity to see other sides of the coin, if you would, right? Like sales is so much different than supporting.
I feel like it can be similar too, though, especially in our organization where I know our sales reps, they give our merchants their like personal cell phone numbers, and merchants will call their sales reps before they even call merchant support. So I think that's kind of cool though too, is like you said, like we're all cross-trained and we all like support no matter what part.
I like to think of it as like this huge net with like layers, and depending on what layer you're at, dictates how big this netting hole is. But when you get down to the bottom, we're like super grid interlocked. So whatever comes to us, like we're catching it before anything falls through. So
I love that. That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
Like we just talked about, we're all like kind of mixed together. We all support, but how does tech support our organization within the different departments, not just supporting our merchants?
You know, a lot of different departments, and I can really only speak to maybe client success is really, and merchant services. I can only speak to those two departments because they're more merchant facing, and sometimes they'll get like I call them a bundle request. Like something will get to their department. Let's say merchant services needs reporting help, but then on that phone call, it'll be like, oh, by the way, I have this terminal that also hasn't worked in 3 months. Can you help me out with it? We're kind of just the go-to. Anybody has questions, whether it be integrations, whether it be equipment recommendations, even just kind of to talk about how to properly handle this particular merchant.
Okay, so speaking of terminals, let's talk terminals.
All right.
Which is what I'm sure you're an expert at. So how would you guide a merchant on what terminal to choose for their business?
First and foremost, what are the needs of your business? Really, there's 3 main avenues: full-blown, all-in-one POS systems, point-and-shoot terminals, as I like to call them, or gateways.
Okay.
Do you want to be on the computer all day running everything? Do you want to have some sort of flexibility to be able to move around? Or do you want to be stuck in one spot?
Okay.
And then from there, everything else kind of just breaks down, and then you'll have an answer.
Let's talk countertop.
All right.
What are the differences between our brands? We have a few different brands
Sure.
that we showcase at ECS. How would you invite a merchant to select one over the other? And I know it's kind of a sales thing, but you're a terminal expert.
I mean, they're all great. Otherwise, we wouldn't deal with them, right? That's how I view it. So it really just maybe treat it like you're buying a new car. Do you like the feel of this one? Do you like the way this one looks? Does this one stand out to you? Because either way, no matter what terminal you choose, you're gonna have us on the back end. We're here to support you. So I mean, even if you feel like you choose one, it's a wrong choice at one point in time, and you get onto a new machine, your experience with support's still gonna be the same. So I can't really advise you on that. I mean, I'm very indifferent when it comes to terminals. Like if I was a business owner, what's gonna get me the money from point A to point B? But then also, do I have good support? If something comes up, like am I taken care of, or am I like pulling teeth trying to get support or an email or acknowledgement or whatever? So I feel like maybe that's something that's also lesser known and lesser thought about when prospective merchants are kind of looking for a new payment processor. Sorry, I know I went on a little tangent there, but
no, I think that's perfect because it's true. Like a lot of the more well-known brands for processing payments, their support isn't really the greatest.
it's a drawback.
Yeah. So ECS is quite different when it
Yeah,
comes to
absolutely. I think, you know, from a support standpoint too, and I think I saw something that you mentioned, trust was important, right? Like trust, no matter what happens from point A to point M or N or whatever point you are, you're not at Z yet, right? But you're somewhere in the middle of everything. I think things can get lost. Promises can be made, promises won't be kept. And then I feel like where we come into play is we can kind of salvage that.
So for a merchant who has never used a terminal before, let's say they've been a cash merchant for the last 15 years, but they're transitioning over to ECS and we're getting them started on their terminal setup. How would you walk them through that? What do they need to know?
Do you have Wi-Fi or do you have Ethernet would be my very first question that I ask. And then from there, it kind of goes back to that conversation of which one stands out to you most. Do you like the color of this one? Do you like the feel of this one? Because they all nowadays have pretty much the same functionalities, right? Like they're all gonna connect to the internet or connect to some sort of cellular service, and then you're gonna be able to capture payments. And I think everything else just kind of falls underneath that. Like, do you want aesthetics? Do you want performance? Do you want a little bit of both? Do you not care? Are you indifferent? And then once we got them on a terminal, it would just be, this is need to know. You need to know how to do these things. Batching out, running a sale, refunds, and then secondary, but still important, but they classify as secondary, would be like pulling reports, reprinting receipts, things like that.
Your team prepares the terminals to do all that. You get
Yes.
them all set up, send them to the merchants. Can you walk me through the process of what programming a terminal looks like to when the merchant gets it in the mail and like their setup looks like?
Yeah, so essentially we pull the terminal, and a lot of our file build process is online. So we're not really doing too much on the terminal. It's outside of like downloading, pressing a few buttons and getting it downloaded. And then of course we test all of our terminals before they leave the door in the same capacity that they would be at the location. So what I mean by that is if a location is Ethernet based, then we're testing it Ethernet in-house, because what good is my test gonna be if I'm testing it on Wi-Fi, but it's gonna be on Ethernet? I could miss something as the person setting it up, and then it's a bigger problem, because now you're gonna get this terminal. Who cares how I boxed it up? Who cares how nice it looks? Because it's not gonna work when you get it. And so that brings me to my next point. Once everything is built, downloaded, I make sure that all the fingerprints are cleaned off the screen, because nothing is worse than like getting something brand new and you're like, oh gosh, like there's all these fingerprints all over it. So clean that up, use rubbing alcohol, and then we box it up, and I just make sure that that thing is absolutely UPS proof, Amazon proof, whatever.
So when a merchant calls in and they have a technical concern, obviously they're calling tech support.
Right.
What is your workflow? Where do you start? How do you guide them? And how do you like find the solution to their problem?
We treat everything like the doctors. The doctor can't help you unless you tell them what's going on. Where does it hurt? How long has this been going on? When did this first start happening? So we take a very similar approach in the department with just probing questions. And once we have a sufficient amount of information to look into their issue or request, we kind of go from there. But typically things are name of the business, the issue that you're having, when it started happening, and then a serial number. From that point, we can usually figure it out from there. But yeah, if we don't have that information, we're asking sometimes 3-4 different ways to get that info.
So can you walk me through, like as if I'm the merchant?
Sure.
Like a typical, from start to the issue is resolved, what that call looks like.
Sure. First couple minutes, hi, what's your name? What seems to be the issue? What business are you calling from? And then at that point, what I'll usually do is put them on hold, and then I'll pull up all of their information on my end so I can at least, know what I'm looking at. And then from there, depending on what the issue is, it's either a quick resolution where I'm advising them to do a quick power cycle, or maybe I'm resetting a password or something like that. But more intensive things either require me to kind of remote into their device to see what's going on, or escalate and get the big dogs involved so I can get some more heavy firepower. But yeah, typically most calls last about 10 minutes tops. Now, more intensive ones, 15, 20, 30, 40.
Okay, so we have a website that merchants can go to if they ever need help, they ever need to troubleshoot anything. Can you give maybe 3 or 4 titles of videos that they can watch?
Yeah, so we've got how to set up your Dejavoo device, how to set up your Clover device, running transactions. I mean, put it this way, anything you need, you go on that website, you're gonna find it.
Can you give a specific situation with a merchant where you helped them with a challenge?
We've got this MSB merchant of ours who is a very big deal to our portfolio, and they actually brought this issue to our attention that inadvertently ended up becoming the reason why we are now upgrading all of our merchants to newer equipment. But they were complaining about their transactions freezing, and it put them in a very tough pickle with their customers, because some of these transactions would be like $500, $600, $700 transactions, and the money would take out of their account, but the transaction on the terminal would freeze or fail or not go through. So there was like this situation where the customer's like, you took my money, but the teller's like, I didn't see this go through, sir. And so long story short, we ended up kind of deliberating back and forth, bringing it up to upper management and the chiefs, the executives, and ultimately got approval to upgrade all of their equipment. And so since doing that, they've had zero problems. Maybe not zero problems, but they've had a 98%, 99% reduction in what they were experiencing. And so we kind of use that as fuel to kind of look under the hood of some of our other cars and, you know, to use that analogy. And then it helped us realize, like, wow, this is actually a bit bigger of an issue and more common than we originally thought.
What do you think is the most unusual or unexpected troubleshooting call you've had?
One of our big merchants had sent us a voicemail that somebody was impersonating me, and they had tried sending them a terminal from Payment Processing Solutions or something like that. It was super, super crazy. And they let me know, and they're like, yeah, this is Sebastian calling from Payment Processing Technical Support, and we're trying to send you a new piece of equipment because the software doesn't upgrade or whatever. And that was probably the most random, weirdest call I've ever received.
Why would someone want to send a merchant a terminal? And why would they pretend they're you? What do you think is going on behind that?
So, nothing good. They're not being good people, first and foremost. What I think, why they're doing it, I have no idea. Probably because they have obtained information somehow, some way that relates me to the other party, the other business that I've been working with. And so that familiarity kind of lets people put their guard down. But their mistake is I talk to a lot of our merchants personally. So they know me, they know my voice, they know my mannerisms and stuff. And so this guy on the phone was not confident enough to be me. We'll just start there. Then number two, I told my team, I'm like, here's two likely scenarios. They're both terrible. Number one, the terminal was like a Trojan horse, and they wanted to go and steal all of the consumer data that was being entered onto the machine. So anytime they would, like a card skimmer, which also, super side note, anytime you guys go to gas stations and stuff, pull on that card reader, and if you're doing contactless, try scratching the sticker off. If the sticker comes off easily, do not use it. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So on one hand, they could be stealing all the information, bad. Worse, they could be Trojan horsing their network and stealing even more information. Either of which, we told the merchant group, by no means should you plug that terminal in, and they ended up disposing of it. So
yeah, that's good. So definitely be on the lookout for fraud.
Absolutely.
What would you tell another merchant, if this were to happen to them, like some precautionary steps?
Trust but verify, and I feel like that's kind of a common thing in really a lot of applications, but trust but verify, and then two, make sure that you have proper and stringent fraud prevention procedures in place. Like, what really helped them kind of stop this in its tracks was the manager asked for a passcode. The guy's like, I don't have a passcode.
Yeah.
Hang up.
Let's get back to payments in the future. What do you think we're looking at as far as features and technology as that evolves? Like, what do you think is going to become more important when it comes to terminals for merchants?
Encryption.
Okay, tell me more.
I think there's a lot of new technological developments out there right now, and I don't know if they're new to me. And I'm seeing a lot of these like I don't even know what they're called, like bit skimmers almost. And what they do is they pretty much go around and it detects these frequencies of like public networks, and it gets their, I don't know, like encryption codes or something, and it basically allows them to hack into that network and then scam data from all of these other unsuspecting victims, which is why, you know, it's not good to go to the airport and use the public Wi-Fi or things like that. You gotta just keep your wits about you. So encryption, not just at the terminal level, but I think at a gateway level, at a database level, I think we're definitely going to need to step it up, because technology is evolving, and I think with it, the scammers' ways are too.
Of course. For encryption, our gateways and our terminals are already encrypted, but how do you think that we'll have to adjust that in the future?
I think that it would need to go through deeper encryption, I would say. Like, and again, pardon my ignorance, right? Because I'm not super versed in the matter, but I do know how we can kind of look at these little microchips under these super powerful microscopes, and then it just keeps going layer by layer. I'd imagine we'd be able to do something like that with our current encryption. I think it's 256-bit encryption right now is the best. As technology progresses, so do the ways to be dishonest, and I think with that undoubtedly has to be mitigation.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to the future of payments and things to look out for, do you think there's any trends that you're seeing kind of happen over time with technology and payments?
I think aesthetic. I think people like to feel good, and I imagine it's kind of like when you get a new iPhone or a new phone, you're like, man, this thing is cool. You get a clear case so you could show it off and all that. Same thing with the terminals. I think business owners are very, especially mom and pop shops, are very customer focused and very like, I take a lot of pride in their image and their brand. And I think the first tell of how to gauge whether a business, and don't quote me on this, but I think a huge tell would be what kind of equipment do they have at the front? Do they have a really nice POS system, or do they have just some run-of-the-mill terminal? Now, that can't be 100% for everybody. Some people probably just don't care enough to spend $1,200 on a POS system, but I think from what I have seen, a lot of these shops or stores that have a brand that they care about also translates to the terminals, because their customer experience is also important to them. So that's the trend I'm noticing, is like customer experience, aesthetic, design, speed.
Are there any improvements that you would like to see specifically happen to terminals and hardware in the future?
No, the jump from just a couple years ago, 5 years ago, to now is tremendous. And I think if you compound that in another 5 years, where are we gonna be? Because a lot of stuff is transitioning to cloud-based management. And so, it frees up a lot of the limitations that the older terminals have, like the Z11s that we used, or the Z-Line terminals. Those are Linux based. Linux is super old. Yeah, it's nice from a developmental standpoint because it's easy, but think about if I wanted to be nefarious or malicious, how easy it is for me to manipulate that. And I feel like going back to my conversation about encryption, cloud-based setups add that little layer of protection. And I don't think I want to see it grow anymore until we know it's safe.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Cloud-based, can you go a little bit more into that? What does that mean? How does that affect merchants? For people who have like Apple and iPhone, you have your data upload to the cloud, and people joke around about it all the time because they're like, the cloud, I don't even know what's in the cloud. I don't know what the cloud does. I don't know how to get to
How
the
big
cloud.
is my cloud? Because
Yeah.
it's been raining all week.
So can you go a little bit into what cloud-based means for terminals?
Sure, and I will speak on this in the very, very small space that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So Dejavoo, they do cloud-based terminals, and to make it easy, it pretty much frees up the device from having to store all the information on the terminal. So it kind of allows it to live in two places: on the device itself, which is kind of like the typical archaic way of doing things, and then we have cloud-based, which essentially just adds another. Think of it like adding another screen to your computer. It's just more space and more options for you to do things. So what I mean by that is, let's say I need to settle the batch. On a regular device, it's not cloud-based, I'm limited to the terminal. So I have to do everything at the terminal level. Whereas with a cloud-based terminal, I can log onto the dashboard, see whatever I need to see, close batches, get reporting. I've only known Dejavoo really to do it right now. Clover, I think, has some degree of cloud-based processing, like with their Clover Go, but Dejavoo is definitely some pioneers in that space. for cloud-based.
Dejavoo has their own dashboard. We kind of have our own dashboard too when it comes to merchant reporting.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about how the payment connection ties into, like, when would merchants use the payment connection, and kind of explain what that is versus when they would go onto their Dejavoo dashboard?
Sure. So payment connection, I like to look at it as a one-stop shop for everything that you need to know at a business level. So like, what are my incoming deposits? What are my reporting ledgers for the past 3 months? Things like that. But it doesn't really give you the more nitty-gritty info, such as like, let's say, you know, I've had Beverly come in earlier and she bought a Powerade and she wanted a receipt. TPC can't give us the receipt. So I would say anything high level you can get from TPC, and it's all going to be the same information, but for more nitty gritty niche things like receipt reprints or something more terminal based, then Dejavoo's iPOS gateway would be the way to go. But yeah, TPC has been, I mean, from us, from a tech standpoint, it's got everything that we need.
How do you guys use it on a day-to-day basis?
Number one, we've got to leave notes for every account that we touch. So from a notation standpoint, we use it for that. But also when we're building files, like we need to know what type of card types they have, whether they accept Amex, Discover, MasterCard, who the authorized contacts are. So like, we don't want to just be spewing information to somebody that says, oh, I work with, you know, so-and-so, you could trust me. And it's like, well, we don't have you listed for approved to talk about sensitive information. So it's good for that, but then also just for, it's like a multi-case tool for us.
So tell me, how does TPC, how did it change your job? Or like, how does it compare to our old CRM?
It's easy to use. It's something that we're pushing all our merchants to use too. So we're all looking at the same thing. I'm not looking at information when we're at our old CRM that I have access to that my merchant or whoever on the phone doesn't have access to. So it's just kind of centralized. It's nice. And then when we're doing our process, like sending out equipment, okay, I just want to confirm the address for you really quick. You're still at 123 Penny Lane. Oh no, I'm actually not at Penny Lane. I'm at Donkey Kong Street. And you're like, okay, great. Well, I'll get that changed. So again, it's nice to have everything under one roof.
Do you see any opportunity to strengthen merchant education in any way other than, yeah, we have our videos on our website, but do you think there's any suggestions for strengthening merchant education when it comes to terminal operation?
There's so much information at our fingertips that it'd be hard to say, yeah, we need to kind of ramp this up in terms of like videos or like interactive workshops and stuff like that, because like things with ChatGPT or Google and all that, I mean, it's just so easy to be like Dejavoo P3 com error, and then you get everything that you need at your fingertips. Do I think we need more? No. And I'm not saying that like, no, we don't need any more. It's just after a while, you know, you kind of run out of things to do, like in terms of trying to help somebody, right? Like these things aren't a supercomputer. They're a terminal. They're a point and shoot terminal. So I mean, how tough can it really be? And I think what we're doing already with kind of niche specific things, running refunds, voids, this is how you set it up, some tips and tricks, frequently asked questions, I think you're covering a lot of what you need to cover. And then anything else outside of that, you're just sifting and it comes through to us, which is, we're happy to help.
Has there ever been a time where you or someone from your team has gone to a merchant location to help them get set up?
Most recently, we are working with Hannah's Restaurant though in Rancho Santa Margarita, and my team has been going down to try to set up their Clover machines. And so right now we're working on getting their menu configured, and we'll go down and it'll be an early morning affair.
But your team's willing to do it.
Absolutely. Like I said at the beginning of this, we do not shy away from challenges.
So why would you have to go to the merchant's location versus like helping them on the phone?
If we can't resolve it over the phone, it usually results in us pushing a terminal out to them. There must be something wrong with this. have anyone.
So what do these experiences reveal about how your department or ECS as a whole approaches merchant needs, especially when they can be urgent or disruptive to their business?
We treat every urgent issue as if the world is falling or the sky is falling, and it's because it genuinely is, especially when you're a merchant. Like I said, these business owners, these are their babies. And so when, your baby isn't feeling good, the world is on fire until your baby's feeling better again, right? And so same thing with us. We can't have you have a line out the door with angry customers and you kind of holding the ball with that. So we rush to get you up and running as soon as possible. And the whole time that we're doing so, we're kind of managing the expectations, we're calming the tempers, we're trying to bring them back to a baseline because, again, nothing gets done when people are emotional and people are stressed out. So we try to bring some calm, some serenity to it, and just let them know, like, hey, rest assured, we're on the case, we'll get you back up and running. And I'm sure that sets us apart from a lot of other processors because, like you mentioned, some of the bigger names, sure, they've got a bigger name, but that doesn't necessarily translate to better support, so.
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate. If a merchant could sit in your department in our little cubicles with us for a day, what do you think would surprise them the most?
I'd have to say the personality of the department because we all come from different walks of life, but we all come from different industries in my department, which makes it really cool because when we come together for the common goal, you can't tell at all. Like it's like we've been in the trenches with each other for the past 20 years and we'll be in them for another 20. And it's like just that sense of camaraderie that I got your back, you got mine, and we bounce ideas off of each other and we just kind of look out for each other, I think, and that's important. No matter where you are, no matter whether that's family or it's work, I think it's important to have each other's backs. And I think they would be surprised to see that we can have fun, but we can also get our work done and not sacrifice the quality of the work that's getting done.
So you guys trust each other, you have this camaraderie. What do you think makes ECS a trustworthy partner for merchants, for their processing and or for their equipment?
I think from a top down, our organization speaks for itself. I think if you take even 30 seconds to try to research what our company is and what we represent and our values and our CEO's values, I think you'll realize very quickly that it translates and trickles down from top to bottom. And with that, I think, it's important for our merchants to feel comfortable with somebody that they are going into a partnership with. And I feel like a processing agreement is a partnership, and albeit maybe whether it be a temporary one or something that turns into a longer termed relationship, I think it's important to be able to trust and have comfortability and confidence in your people that are managing your money or processing your payments and giving you support for your stuff. So yeah, all in all, I think we're the stronger fit versus somebody else in the running because we're human. We're legitimate people. We're not robots. We all have lives outside of work. You're on the phone with somebody that you have no idea what they look like, what they've been through, but that you feel safe and confident, and you're like, this is another human. This isn't somebody collecting a check, like trying to just get me off the phone. I'm not a number to them. I'm a reason type thing.
Yeah.
Cliche, cheesy, I know, but it's genuine. I believe that 100%. So
if you could give your past self before you started this role one piece of advice, what would it be?
Jump.
Ooh, I like that.
Before taking on this position, I had to make a very, very hard decision, which was, I was in the same industry, but I had built up this familiarity and existence with my friends and all this stuff, and I was stepping into this long hallway of uncertainty, and that part of that long hallway was, at the end of it, was USAG. And the people in my circle at that time were unsure, as was I. And so I would say, obviously I ended up jumping, but I would tell him, do it a lot sooner. Like, you're ready, you got this, it's okay. And I think a lot of people can take that for their own. Jump, just go for it.
Makes me want to go do something great right now.
I know, right? Don't you feel empowered?
Yes, yes I do. Well, thank you, Sebastian,
Of course,
for
thank you, Shanna.
coming and talking to me about what your team and you do every single day.
Absolutely.
And I hope our merchants get a little fun insight into who you are and who your team
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I'm excited, and you know, if you need any help, you know who to call. We'll be here for you.
Ghostbusters.
Absolutely.
Technical support plays a vital role in ensuring that merchants are operational and confident in their equipment. Every call, setup, and resolved issue ensures that merchants stay focused on what they do best. If you enjoyed this conversation, explore our full library to see how ECS Payments provides dedicated support across every department. Until next time, I'm Shanna with ECS Payments.